Welcome to Sakshi TV's special immigration talk show with attorney Dr. Srinivas Kaveti. I am Preeti Mulbagal, your host for the show. Today we have with us Dr. Kaveti, who is a multifaceted, accomplished attorney. He holds multi-directional, multi-educational degrees, namely Bachelor's of Arts, specializing in English Literature, Psychology, Eastern and Western Philosophy, a gold medalist in LLB. He holds an MBA and also a Master's in Communication and Journalism. He holds an LLM from Australia. So Dr. Kaveti is renowned internationally and assists several clients globally in handling litigations in diversified law practices. He also handles many pro bono cases. And I would also like to congratulate Dr. Kaveti Garu for opening up two new offices in India, one in Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh, catering to the Telugu community, and also one in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, that caters to the Gujarati community as well. So, welcome, Dr. Kaveti.
Thank you for the introduction.
So, with the new president taking charge, there have been so many changes in the immigration laws and the eligibility of various visas and the changes in the custom and border protection guidelines as well. So, today we would like to get a better understanding from you on the type of food products and that can be and cannot be carried to the US. So many Indian parents have been having, travelers have been having issues on this front. So, could you please throw some light on that issue, please?
Yeah. See, if you see these days, first of all, when you're doing an international travel, when you're coming to America, either as a student or as a visitor or an H-1B, or even on, green card or anything, even citizens, when you're traveling back to US, one has to have a material disclosures when you're entering into the country. There are a couple of aspects. One is when you are looking at material disclosures of immigration, and as well as, what you're carrying when you're entering into the country. So, those, if you don't do those material disclosures, and if you omit to disclose them, and if you're lying on oath when you're filling up the forms, that could jeopardize your entry into the country or even immigration status. And so these are very, very important things, when people are entering into United States. I mean, for that matter, any country you go, especially this Western world, you have to make some material disclosures in terms of customs and border security and in terms of immigration. So don't lie, number one. Number two, um, uh, make a full and faithful disclosure, and don't hide anything from the government. These are all federal agencies, and if you're hiding anything or if you're lying anything on oath, you could be in trouble. And they could detain you at the airport, they could penalize you, they could seize the goods which you're bringing, or they could even have civil and criminal penalties. And so that's a very serious thing when you're coming into the United States. These laws were all there in regulations, but in the past, the enforcement was less. Now, after President Trump taking over the chair, they're all strictly followed now, and the enforcement is strict. Those are the things we have to make a material disclosure.
Right, sir. That is absolutely right. Because initially we used to see that the food was being thrown away, but then nowadays being sent back altogether to our country is completely an unexpected outcome. So, what kind of food can be brought? So, some kind of Indian food, can that be home-made food can be brought to India, to US?
First of all, one must understand, when you have a visa, you have a license to enter into the country. But Chalasal, what people think, oh, I have a visa, I can come and live in America, I can walk into the country. That's not the case. A visa is a license to enter into the country. But when you're coming into the country, there are certain restrictions, there are certain rules and regulations one has to follow. The question you asked me, can they bring food? Yes, you can bring food, but there are certain restrictions. For example, if you're bringing some seeds, or when you're bringing some agricultural produce, there are certain restrictions when you're bringing into America. Under agricultural laws have some restrictions, and Food and Drug Administration have certain restrictions. Even immigration law and custom enforcement has certain restrictions. But when people are coming, especially the parents, they want to bring some food for their children. But especially when they look at it, they look at bringing some pickles or bringing some sweets and bringing some home food, homemade food, bringing some canned food. So questions a day: what sort of food you're allowed to bring, and what sort of food you cannot bring, and what sort of food will get you in trouble. And if you disclose, what will happen? If you don't disclose, what will happen? These are the multifarious questions one has at day.
That's right, Andy. So now the way we see here, many of the parents they try to bring in the food which the kids are not able to make themselves. Say, for example, some puris and some powders, homemade things. So are they allowed?
Well, there are certain restrictions in terms of food. You can bring some pickles which are, canned, but can you bring pickles which are homemade? That's a question again. And again, in
Right.
the past, what has happened in America, when they checked up the pickles, some pickles had lead in it. It's a very serious thing. Until last, the Priya Pachalu, they were banned to come to America because when they tested in the laboratory, they found some lead. And lead is a very serious thing in America because it hinders the growth of the children. A lot of health problems will come. These are restricted. These are unlawful in America. For example, if you see some people in and they bring some prawn pickle or fish pickle or a chicken pickle. I mean, they say, oh, we cooked them in home and I'm bringing include some we want to bring. See, anything with non-vegetarian, prawns or fish or anything with chicken, these are all restricted. You can't bring them to US, or you cannot say I cooked it at home. That's restricted. And for example, in the past, one of our client, they were bringing student was bringing a sweet loaf. If you see a lot of Indian mithai shops, sweet shops that they sell, and some of the sweets have papaya seeds and a gasgasal. And when
Poppy
somebody
seeds.
brought into the poppy seeds, when they brought that sweet, there are some sweets we have the poppy seeds. When the border security guys stopped it and looked at it, they've sent it to the laboratory. It has got some contraband. And when we see that we use that poppy seeds in our food, even biryani or some sweets, you get intoxicated. కొంచెం మత్తు వస్తది. So that means these are all controlled substance. And one of our client even went to jail. They accused saying that you're carrying some drugs. So it's a very simple sweets bought it from Pullaredi, which has got poppy seeds. Kada? Gasagasa. So that has led a student visa was cancelled. He was arrested. He was sent back. And the serious thing, look at that. See, a lot of our parents and friends and family, oh, can you bring this sweet? Can you bring that sweet? And they bring it. But one must also must understand there are certain restricted items into the country. I'll give you some other examples. You put under the, if you see, a lot of this, people say, oh, can you bring my medication? Oh, my cousin's medication, my friend's medication. Bringing medication, there are some, medication. Well, for example, there are some cough syrups has some, intoxication, effect of chemicals, and they don't supply, they don't sell them over the counter in America. Things like that, when they bring, if they get detained at the airport, they get arrested. There are civil and criminal penalties. Coming to the food, definitely there are certain restrictions. For example, if you're bringing some agricultural produce, the Code of Federal Regulations says, and some agricultural law says that you cannot bring them into the country. Most of the times, I'll tell you what happened in it. They'll say, oh, you don't declare anything, you just walk in. So if they stop you, the border security guys or the custom, they stop you and do a search, just say what will happen. They will not only confiscate the food, they will throw it in garbage. And there are civil and criminal penalties. And, you could be penalized for 10,000, 20,000, or they could even send you back. They are canceling the visas and they're sending you back to your country. And is it worth bringing such food and not declaring to them and getting in trouble? These days, they're sending people back. Because of the Trump administration policies, they're taking it very serious, Andy. One has to be careful. People just
So,
say, because these guys, they just say, H1 loan వాళ్ళు, okay, my children are getting graduated, or I'm taking some homemade sweets, I'll take them on time. And I know it's a lot of love is there, but you must understand you should also disclose, Gada. They don't disclose it. And non-disclosure of a material information is also an offense. And misrepresentation is an offense. But they don't say, "Oh, you bringing any food?" They say no, and that means
mhm,
misrepresentation, lying on oath is an offense, and that
mhm.
could lead to civil penalties, criminal penalties, cancellation of your visa. They could send you back. And a lot of time these people they Google search and they do chat GPT and say, oh, ఏం కాదు నాన్న తీసుకొచ్చే ఏం కాదు friends తీసుకొచ్చేయండి. I mean, that's a serious thing. We had clients who got in trouble, especially now parents are coming 2 to 3 times also. They're bringing it for their children, stuff like that. One has to be careful when they're bringing food hunting.
So seeds అవన్నీ తీసుకురాకూడదు. We are not supposed to bring all those. But then what if we declare them? Can they still bring them, or they are still restricted?
Well, there are certain goods, if the officers look at it and they'll say, okay, no problem. It's a discretion. Sometimes the Indian sweets testaru. There are some canned food, or sometimes we are buying it from a store in India. It's all packaged properly. When it is packaged properly, then it's okay. But sometimes when you cook something at home and bring it, then it's a discretion of them. And they're going to oil, masala. There are so many things which are restricted and they don't allow because you bring some food sometimes Subru, when we bring some sweets sometimes they've got fungus. If it open just choose there's moss more so they will throw it away because it could affect the local plants or local food, local animals. When you throw it also, some insects might eat it, affect cow chani. They're very strict, especially if you see in Australia, in Canada and other countries, the dogs are sniffing your baggages until me carry bag. And when you said no, I did not bring anything. If they're fine and if the sniff dogs see that, and you said no, that means you could be arrested. Also, you could be detained. They could search and seize at the Chestaru, and but they will also send you back.
So, is there a chance that the parents brought something, or say the students, the immigrants, they brought something and without the knowledge of it? Will they still be sent back for bringing the restricted items if they do not have the
Absolutely.
knowledge of it?
No, absolutely. Because at the port of entry, the immigration officers, they'll say, do you know who packed your baggage? Are you aware of it? Are you carrying anybody's, Pudu Chalasalu, what people our say, our guys, they say, oh, my guy will come to the airport and give you a package. Can you please bring it? Oh, there's just set of medicines. Oh, there's some sweets. Or can you bring it to the airport? Our people normally they say, okay, bring it to the airport. I'll put it in my carry baggage and they come. The first question they'll ask you, are you aware of what you packed? Did you pack yourself? And if you normally, oh, yes, I packed it, but you did not pack it. So when you do things like that, you're lying, Gada. So what's happening is, when you're lying and when you're not bringing something which you've not packed, that's an offense again. So these things are when you see, when we see, oh, these are small trivial things, but it has a serious effect in our travel, serious effects in our visa, serious effects in our criminal penalties, civil penalties, and there's so many things. They could even cancel your visa and send you back. They could even deport you. Deportation is a serious international crime.
Wow. That is so true. That is so true. Because I myself have seen people who have been deported because of such items. So,
Right.
what
Contraband
do
substance antaru. Contraband ante because there's some many restricted items. You cannot carry them when you're traveling internationally. So one has to be very careful whether they're coming to America or to Canada or to Australia or to any other foreign countries. But for example, if you go to Middle Eastern countries, there are some serious things you cannot carry with you. I mean, I cannot disclose this in open in TV interviews. They have to do their own research when they're traveling to these countries. Ippudu, there are some countries you cannot carry your religious things, and you carry certain religious things. You could say, "Oh, this is only a prasadam or something," and they could have some restricted items. That's what I tell people when you're carrying even some, Hindu items like vibhuti or these things. You got to be careful because when they check it up in your bags, and unfortunately, then they see this vibhuti or some turmeric or some bottu or anything, any of these restricted items, you could be in trouble. Kada. You should be knowing what you're bringing. Some people might give you something else in those packets. They could not be, maybe a vibhuti or some religious spiritual items. Kada. So one has to
Right.
be careful, very, very careful, because we have seen clients getting in trouble in other parts of the world.
Right. So
Once upon
how
a
do
time, I'm sorry, once upon a
sorry, go
time,
ahead.
carrying a Bhagavad Gita or any of those things to the Middle Eastern countries was a serious, serious offense. You could not carry any religious items like Christian Bible and Antwi. So, people could get in trouble. You have to know the law of that land when you're carrying it. You got to do some research. And you cannot say, oh, I don't know. Ignorance of law is not an excuse. Kada?
Absolutely, that makes sense,
Yeah,
Andy. Yeah,
right.
because like many we see amateurs, they try to get away, possibly saying that it's thinking that it's ignorance is bliss. So it doesn't work here. So which is
Yeah.
what Dr. Kavati is trying to tell all the immigrants. So please make sure, guys. And what about the thing that where people bring their prasadam? We just spoke about prasadam, right? So from temples or say for churches, they probably there is a possibility that they bring bigger amounts of prasadam in larger quantities. They ship them and then they distribute it to the devotees here. So, what would you say about that?
See, that's another interesting question you raised. Sometimes people bring a lot of merchandise. Oh, nothing will happen, honey. But you have to convince the authorities at the port of entry that you're not bringing them for a sale, merchandise kinda. Oh, I'm bringing some samples. You're bringing so many things. The other day, somebody sent a package with me, and they had 10 mascaras. I said to them, why are you sending 10 mascaras? You can't get mascaras in America? You can get mascaras in America, right? If I'm bringing 10, they might ask me, so are you doing any business with mascaras in America? We don't know whether the substance in the mascara has some, restricted item in America. I'll be at the port of entry, I'll be in trouble, right? Whether I'm a citizen or a permanent resident or anything. But Ilandiani, they do all these mistakes and this. Our people, and something looks like a sugar or a salt, it could be any item which we don't know. So people also use you for doing this, transportation of certain goods. So one has to be careful of that. Even bringing some prasadam, make sure that you're not bringing in bulk. Maybe one or two for just your personal consumption, not for sale. So those things also have to very strict
Auntie,
because when you're bringing some merchandise, you have to declare by law. What they'll ask you? Are you bringing any merchandise? Are you bringing any items which are more than $10,000? Sometimes one of our client, who's a Gujarati guy, went to Australia with full of diamonds in his necklace and hands and even in bracelets and rings and everything. That guy actually took it to as if he wants to get some orders in Australia, diamonds and patkoni. The guy had at least 50 to $100,000 diamonds in his possession of the body. The immigration authorities in Australia detained him, saying that why are you having all these diamonds on your body? But he wants to do business, so they detained him. And last time, I should not say this, one of the Telugu movie actors and actresses, they were detained because they were having all the gold on their body, and the guy who was coming with them, guy does his gold business. Half a kilo వేసుకొని వచ్చారు, and they were detained at the entry, and the authorities they seized them. So we had to go to court and file certain applications to get them released from our firm. And these things one has to be careful. You don't want to be, in trouble because authorities are watching you tomorrow when you come and go.
Right, sir. Right. So, what about dairy products? What about dairy products and leaves like tea leaves and coffee powder?
If you're bringing it in open source, then it's a problem. If you're bringing it in a boxes, for example, Lipton tea or something, if it is in a box sealed and it's in container, that's okay. If you bring in, when you go and see in Hyderabad, people buy some coffee or tea leaves outside. If they stop it, you cannot have open. You got to, again, it's again discretion of the officers. You have to convince them. See, the question is, when you're caught, you're in trouble. Otherwise, people just walk off. But if it is closed boxes sealed, it's okay. Otherwise, you're open source, then you're audited. You have a room. There's a room for auditing you.
Okay. So, are the nuts also banned to be
Yes,
brought?
there's certain nuts are banned in America. Yes, you're right.
Okay. So, would you like to throw some light on that? Like what kind of nuts, if it is not too exhaustive?
Because the nuts, there are certain nuts have some anti, there are certain infections to the nuts as well. While they're very strict of nuts too. So there are, I mean, every country has its own restriction. Check it out before you travel. And don't talk to your travel agent or don't talk to your children over in America or your friends and family. Check it out. Check it out before you travel.
Okay. I specifically asked about nuts because we see people bringing from Velankani or Tirupati, the laddus and everything. They have these nuts and all. So, is there any specific different set of rules or permissions that they can bring in to be able to cater to the devotees? So,
Well, I mean, you're bringing a prasadam again, if it is in an envelope, Tirupati prasadam, but it's sold outside Kada. I mean, again, if you declare it that you're bringing some sweets and pertaining to prasadams or God things, if you declare, then the officers might open it and see, and if they're convinced, they'll leave you. But if
right.
you did not declare, let's say they stop you and they check it out, there are two offenses. One, non-disclosure. Number one, that you did not disclose. Number two, you lied, saying that I'm not carrying anything. And these are the two red flags, Kadani. So
Right.
third thing is, they might seize, they might throw it in the garbage, or they might say you lied to us, and then immigration authorities might say, okay, you lied to us, civil or criminal penalties, or even canceling your visa and sending you back. Depends upon the officer's discretion ending.
Okay, okay. And what about like things like dairy products like paneer, ghee, clarified butter, yogurt?
Well, again, when you see that, yes, paneer is again a restricted item because these are cow products, milk products, and yeah, again, as I said, it's in the sealed thing that's different. If you're bringing open, then it's restricted. Yeah, I mean, don't bring
Okay,
any dairy products. That's what I would suggest.
okay. So basically, the travelers need to make sure that they go through the guidelines in the websites and not talk to their kids or the travel agents regarding what to be brought, what not to be brought, and also make sure that any coffee or anything these are not to be loosely brought. They have to be nicely sealed and packed, and no Indian pickles because it contains lead, and they are prohibited. And for all these items they have different set of penalties if they are if they are brought not in a uh, if they are brought in a restricted way.
Right. There
Different
are
penalties do
criminal
they have?
penalties. There are criminal penalties. There are civil liabilities. They can be seized. They could even affect that your immigration status by coming into the country, and you could be penalized heavily. Yes.
Wow. So it is really suggested for all the immigrants, the parents. So please, we really hope you get the guidelines from reputed attorneys or people who are actually aware of all these rules and regulations, and then get your things straight so you do not have to face the confiscation of the food or be turned back. So, is there any other suggestion that you would like to provide to our viewers, Dr. Kaveti?
When they go and see in the Department of State website, it's all there. And just regular Google it, you'll get to know. And especially students also, and H1B guys also, when the H1B dependents are coming, oh, my husband has not had this, he asked me to bring something from home. These have to be very carefully looked at. And tomorrow you cannot say, oh, I don't know the law. Ignorance of law is not an excuse. Omission is not an excuse. Oh, I forgot to disclose it. Oh, I did not know that they gave this thing in the box. Oh, my parents gave me a box sealed. I brought it. Those things are all no. Get to know what are the things you're bringing, and be aware of it, and disclose it if you have to disclose, and be careful. I mean, even bringing, sometimes people say, oh, can you bring me some medicines? And these medicines, if you're bring the you know get the doctor's prescription for whom you're bringing, and get the receipts from the medical shops, and what sort of medicines you're bringing, to whom you're bringing. Sometimes I had clients that they were going to Africa. They bought so much of Viagra, they wanted to sell it in Africa. They were detained, they were arrested at the airport. Why are you bringing Viagra from India to sell it in Africa? They were detained, they were arrested. Forget about seizing all the Viagra tablets, but they were arrested and detained and sent back. Do you need all of this in life? I mean, you're going to have you want to go happily, come home happily, not have all these restrictions. So I
Right.
know, some of the
So,
viewers might be thinking, why this Kaveti is saying all these things about this item, but small mistake, big punishment, Sunday.
initially, it was not this way. So nowadays, the rules have become extremely stringent. So there is every dire need for all the immigrants, all the travelers to understand these basic guidelines because of the changes. Right,
Yeah,
doctor?
there's a strict enforcement of law now. It was there in the books before, but now they're enforcing the law very
Enforce.
strictly.
Maybe that is
So,
what these needed. That is what was needed.
right, right.
So medicines can be taken from here to India. Is that okay?
Yes, you can take it, but India also have certain restrictions. Then, if you're using it for your personal use, and you must be amazed, because when sometimes people take medication, when they bring medicine from India to America, for example, some Ayurvedic medicines, some homeopathy medicines, they don't have no label. The
Right.
labeling law says that they should be labeled properly. If they're not labeled, also is an offense.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kaveti, for giving us the insights on what to be carried, what not to be carried in terms of food and the medicines. So we really appreciate your time for being on our show. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.